Righto guys, welcome to episode 2 of One Quick Barra Swap. Now in this episode, I've neatened up my whiteboard and I'm going to make a little bit of a plan to attack this project. So first we have stuff that we need as soon as possible, which is stuff we farm out and will take a little bit of time. So transmission, we'll get one sorted. Turbo manifold, it's already got the tick. Wheels, jump on the internet, hunt around, I'll see what I can find. And the tail shaft. Now, to get the tail shaft ordered, I need to get the rear end in it. So what I'll do is, R&D boys, we'll jump onto a 4-bar 9-inch, get it in position so I can order my tail shaft, and maybe even start looking at the Weirwood master cylinder setup. Righto, so I'm back with my clean Barra. She's all washed, ready to go. Now, out on the rack, I found 2 Turbo 350 transmissions, so they're GM Turbo 350s. Now, to achieve putting a Turbo 350 to the Barra, we can use a rod shop kit. Now, any GM Turbo box or V8 Power Glide will work with this kit here. Now, I'll run you through that in a future episode. So, I'm going to get these 2 transmissions down to Paul, get him to pick the better of the 2. I'll leave one with him so he can repair it and achieve hopefully that 2 to 3 week window that we're hoping for. The other one back here, back on the R&D shelf. Alright, so I've gone to the warehouse and got myself a Weirwood master cylinder. Now, there's a lot of reasons we are going to try and do this. For one, I've never seen a good looking booster on a car. It looks terrible, we all know that. So we're going to try and delete the booster and run a straight Weirwood master cylinder straight on the firewall. Now, the major benefit is we're going to get ourselves an independent system. Now, when you do an engine swap or you're changing or you're going to improve or put performance into your engine, you're going to have inconsistency in your vacuum. Now, when that comes into play is your booster relies on a set vacuum. Now, with a performance engine, 7,000 RPM back to 1,500 RPM is going to be a massive difference. You're going to get a lot of inconsistency in your pedal. So, we go to a straight Weirwood master cylinder, like I've mentioned, independent system, so it's by itself. So, if I can set this up, get my pedal ratio right, doesn't matter whether I've got this engine at full RPM or at idle, we will have the same brake pedal feel and we'll get the same pedal performance, same caliper performance, and this car should pull up perfect. Alright, so here we are out the back. Now, it's not one quick Barra swap, it's one of my R&D cars. Now, we've grabbed this from up at the graveyard up the back. Now, the reason we're using this car, I don't want to scratch one quick Barra, so it's got a factory firewall and a factory pedal box. They're the 2 things I need. Now, we can all agree, unattractive items, so we'll get rid of that. Now, when fitting a Weirwood master cylinder or boosterless kit, we need to tick a lot of items off the list. Now, number 1, we need to go for clearance, which it's got really good clearance here, as we can see. Number 2, we need to go for strength. So we've mounted it to the factory pedal box. As you can see, the plate here with a larger hole, so it's mounted up really well. Number 3, we need to make sure your push rod is square to your master cylinder. So from one point to the other, when it goes in there, it's got to be square all the way down. We've got to get plenty of strength into our clevis pin. So our clevis to go into our pedal, we've got to work out that system so it is never going to break. So we're going to overkill a little bit there, put a lot of strength in it. It's not going to cause us any headaches. We've got to liaise with Weirwood to make sure that their team's happy with what we've done. And then finally, if that is all good, we'll put it on the car and get out there and tick the box with a brake test. Alright, we're going to move to the rear of the car now. I'm going to look at doing our 9-inch diff. Now, the reason we haven't done the XF Falcon 9-inch in the past is the Watts link set up on the diff. We have checked it, but by the time you put a Watts link suspension on the rear of the 9-inch, it bulges out, it hits the fuel tank. So, we're going to do a bit of head scratching there and get the R&D team up. I think we're going to have to go to a triangulated rear system with a set of Viking rear coilovers in it to get it to work. Now, this car is not only going to be driven on the street, as we said, we're going to do a little bit of racing. Now, if Heath has any chance of catching me on that strip of my wagon, I reckon he's going to need the best setup possible and get some decent rubber under the rear. So I've got these set up, which are a spare set from the early days of Drag Challenge, which I'm going to try to fit them on there. Now, if they fit with a factory width diff, check my new style wheels once I find a set, then I can get the guys in R&D to measure the width of the diff. We can start making one and then try and make some progress on the suspension. Alright, so we've got the snowflakes off. All I'm mainly doing is checking clearance. So if the wheel face, we'll let the car down, we'll check the inners. It's going to have to travel a long way, Ben. Start for the drag racing one, we'll back the shock off when we do go racing. Just gently nip these up. Obviously they're incorrect, but they'll be good enough for what we're doing. So we'll lower it down, we'll double check all our clearances, make sure everything's all good there, and if that's all we need, because they're going to be the only swap of wheel, we should be right to get the boys up, take some wheel face to wheel face measurements, some pinion angles, check a few things out, and then we'll work a plan. Alright, so check the inside, the outside, everything looks pretty good there. So I reckon if we do take it to the track, then wheels are going to work perfect. So what I'm going to do is we're going to make a 9-inch diff that's going to be factory width. So throw it back in the air, I'll get the other side wheel off, put this drag racing wheel back up in the top shed for storage for now, and then we'll try and work out a 4-bar. Righto, so we're going to move on to the 9-inch now. Step number 1, I've got over the other side of the car is Jace, the diff builder now and designer, and the man who does all the work on them. So what we're going to do is measure the width and the wheel track. So if we ever ask you guys to measure your 9-inch to work out how wide you want it made, or you ever do one yourself, you need to do wheel face to wheel face. Now that is the wheel face, so where the wheel bolts on. So the easiest way to measure it, straight edge or ruler, straight up and down. Now make sure wherever you put it on this side of the car, it's in the exact same location on the other. Jace will slide me under a tape measure. Hold it to the inside edge of your straight edge. Jace will grab us a measurement on the other side, and that will be the width of our diff, so wheel face to wheel face. Now, once that's done, we'll move over to Jace. He'll run us through a couple other small procedures we need to do on the car before removing the diff.
What we've done is we've just got the width of the diff. Now it's time to get the pinion angle. Now the easiest way to do that is you've got a bevel gauge like this. What we want to do is we want to lower the car down to ride height. So what I'm going to do that instead of putting wheels and stuff on it, I'll just lower it down under the stands, hop under, zero it off the sill, and then put it on the pinion. We'll get the pinion angle. So pinion angle sorted, wheel track sorted. Now before we put it in the air, I just want to check in the boot, see how the shocks are mounted. And then once I check that, we'll put it in the air, work out a game plan.
Alright, so we're back on the car here. Jace is just bolting up a set of lower control arms. Now they're replacements for the factory ones. We obviously beefed them up so they're going to be a lot stronger, but they are picking up, as we can see in here, the factory mounting point. So where we can, we try and keep it original strength that was designed fine there so we can stick to it. So now what I have been instructed by Jace to do is get rid of our spring hangers. So if we look up into here, they just sat up through the floor like so. That's where the original spring was. Now all we had to do, get a spot weld drill, as you can see, a light drill out, and it will not affect your floor. So the reason for doing that, a spot weld drill, you can buy them anywhere at hardware places. All panel shops use these. They're cheap, 15 bucks. Saves drilling a hole right through your floor. Worst case, if you do, you can fill it up. Not the end of the world probably, but it'll keep the engineer happy if you don't. So that's that plate now. As instructed, what our plan is now is we're going to replace that with a heavy, if I get it around the right way, a heavy flat plate. So we're going to a 6mm for a start plate that will bolt that straight up under the floor. And then on the other side of the plate, we can retain the factory setup of where the shock used to go through. It's super heavy and super strong. So now the studs are gone, we'll nut and bolt it, we'll clamp that on there, it'll be all mounted through the floor, we'll sandwich it, and then Jace can look at where he's going to mount his shock. So now that bit's done, Jace, next move for the diff.
So the diff is done at factory width. We need to get it underneath, jack it up, work out where the lower arm's going to go, coil over mounts,
and clearances. All right, so we've got a plan. We'll get that hanging on there. I'll hold the dumb end, we'll let Jace do his magic, and we'll see how we go. Alright, so we're about to fit the engine and trans into the car. Now, with the engine mounts, they're already bolted on here, but when you are fitting yours, bolt your engine mounts hard to the block, then when we lower it down, it'll make it a lot easier to guide in. Now, you have a look there, that engine mount doesn't look square to the engine, it's not supposed to be. Now, you guys out there unsure when you bolt them on, it's set for the driveline angle, so that little bit of a twist there, that's perfect. Once it gets in the car, it'll all make sense. Alright, so we've got the engine in, now we've only set it in finger tight with the bolts on the bottom of the engine mounts, which is fine. We're only doing a bit of R&D now, but a big thing to highlight here is whenever you're doing setup, you must have a transmission on there, and you must set the gearbox cross member up to make sure your drive line's right before you check clearances or anything else. So I'll whip over the store, grab us a cross member, bolt it in, and then we'll get the camera to run around and see how it clears. Righto, we're underneath the rear of the car, and Jason, the R&D boys, have done a great job setting up the triangulated 4-bar. Now, the big thing we're always pushing here, if possible, we go to the OEM, original equipment manufacturer. Now, what that means is we want to mount it to where the original mounting on the chassis was. So the spring location's the same spot, the control arms are at the same pivot point off the chassis. So the stress levels will be exactly the same. We're not adding any stress to the vehicle. Now, the travel's good, the pinion's in the center of the car, the wheel track's really good, and travel, we're not altering the pinion angle very slightly, but that is going to get that with travel, but we've kept to a best case scenario. So all that's set, I'm going to grab Jace, we're going to sit here, we're going to measure the tail shaft, and the reason for all this happening so quick is so we can get that ordered and get it back here with our 2 to 3 week timeline.
Right, so Mark's explained just how I've done the diff. Now it's time to measure the tail shaft. Where we need to measure from is the end of your housing here in your gearbox to the machine face on your diff. Now that needs to be done at right height. So what we're going to do is we're going to lower it down to the ground, put all weight on for all 4 wheels, and we'll get a measurement.
Righto, so we've measured the tail shaft. Measurement, Jace?
1455.
So 1455 is... Now that's a measurement I'm going to have to give to our tail shaft builder. We explained how to do it. Now, as a recap, to get the tail shaft sorted, we had to get the 9-inch sorted now. All good? We finished?
Not exactly. Still want to set up a sway bar on it.
Yep.
To mount to your factory location.
Perfect.
Then we're going to need to do a lot of jig work, and most importantly, road test it, make sure it works.
Exactly, because the last 9-inch took 3 or 4 goes and variations to get the perfect setup. So, with our road testing, stupidity of the road shop, us blokes, we do like to have a little bit of fun along the way, so it's going to cop a really hard time. Now, on the road test side of things, it will not be available straight away until we put the miles into it, until Jace is happy, and we had a few engineers give us a little bit more advice on it. So, that'll be happening there. Recap on the episode. Weirwood Master Cylinder prototypes getting machined at the moment. The boys in the machine shop are coming up with the prototype, the cleverest. That'll be the same scenario. We've got a few more tests to do on that before it'll be available. We must do a lot of road testing, jump up and down on that brake pedal. So that's part of it's done. The trans, it's at Paul Rogers. Paul's given me the 2 to 3 week turnaround. We're down to 2.5 weeks. Paul, he'll live up to his word. He's really good. Manifold sorted. Wheels, I never got to the wheels. We'll get to them later on. The tail shaft we just spoke about, that's all up and running. It's all in progress. So that's going to be a wrap for this episode. Like, subscribe below. A lot more coming your way. Thanks again for watching.